founder of DLA Ignite. Today I've got with me Tom Stanfill, and I've got a copy of your book here. We're going to talk about that. Before I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, I'm just going to say something about your book. I read a lot, and I read a lot of sales books. And whenever I pick up a sales book, I go, oh no, here we go again. Because there's a load of stuff. There's a load of sales books talking as if the world is the 1980s. Even books that come out today, there's a famous one that slags off social. And in the end of it, the person says, and if you want to get hold of me, here are my social contacts. And he lists all his social media contacts, which is a Brit. I love a bit of irony.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Really, really enjoyed it. Really. And we're going to talk about that today. And you've come up with some amazing concepts about the fact that the world has changed and that the buyer has changed and we need to meet them differently and talk to them differently. And I love with the concepts you come up with, and we're going to talk about those. Tom,
well, thank you, Tim. Thank you. Yeah. And the good thing is they work.
Yeah, I know
they're very counterintuitive. They're very simple.
You're preaching to the converted.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
People can easily find me on LinkedIn. It's Tom Stanfill, Stanfill. So just reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's an easy way to get in touch with me. You can check out the website for the book, unreceptivebook.com, if you want to know a little bit more information about the book than you would find, for example, on Amazon. But those are probably the two best places to reach out. I'm also CEO of a company called ASLAN Training. And so you can visit our website, aslantraining.com, and check out some of our sales training solutions and leadership development solutions, the way we obviously incorporate all these principles into our programs.
So in the book, I'm actually not going to ask you about your journey because there's quite a lot to get through.
Yeah, right.
A number of these concepts. You talk. One of the great things about in the book is you actually use examples. You use examples like when you lost business as much as when you won business as well. And I think that's really important that we are that we understand that
authentic.
It's authentic. We understand where we make failures. Why don't you think that traditional selling? Why isn't traditional selling working right now?
Well, it's traditional selling, which when I think of traditional selling, I think of a courtroom, right? It's about the validity of the argument, of the information you share. You go to court, you share. This is how I thought about it when I first got married. I'm going to make my argument. And if my argument is sound and the facts support my case, I am going to win the argument. And then I realized, well, there's no judge, there's no jury. That's not how communication works, especially in marriage. And in sales, the reason the traditional approach isn't working is because most people right now aren't emotionally open to talking to sellers, right? The amount of information, the way they feel about sellers, how much information is available, just like, again, the flood of information, people are emotionally closed. And when someone's emotionally closed, and this is the principle that's sort of the foundation of the book, and influence to me, is when someone's emotionally closed, the more you try to persuade them, the more closed they become. So you think about that. So if I sell, I lose. And if I don't sell, I lose. Okay, well, so the reason that's so important now is because a high percentage of customers and prospects are emotionally closed.
Yeah.
So yes, you can win with the people who are sitting across the table from you, whether virtually or on site, who are saying, tell me what to do, Tim. Tell me what to do, Tom. What should I do differently? Those people, you don't have to worry. The traditional approach works. There's just not many of those people available now, right?
There's not enough of them. And if you think you go to any buyer and say, okay, so what do you think as salespeople? They say, well, I don't like you. I don't believe you. I don't trust you. And I know that you're going to pitch me something I don't want.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about you. The sales rep is the hero of the story. And for decades, customers suffered through because they had no other options.
Yeah.
They now have options. You know, I can Google it. I can get all the information I think I need by talking to anybody other than a seller. And so in the few cases that you know, are where that's not true, yeah, okay, I'll have to talk to a seller. And by the way, this is why sellers are defecting from their companies. They're all looking for a place to work where they don't have to feel the way they feel, or they can offer something that customers can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So they are receptive, but in reality, people aren't. And it's really
And,
also, go ahead.
And what I think sellers don't quite often understand is that most things are a commodity. In
Yeah.
fact, the only USP, unique selling point that people have today is themselves, their experiences and what they do and what they say. And they think that their USP is somehow in some sort of hidden in some sort of PowerPoint presentation. And if I show you these slides, you're going to go, wow, that's amazing. And that's not how it works.
It's not true. People make emotional decisions and support them with intellectual alibis,
Yeah.
right? It's emotions, and then their brain supports what they want. So even if you do have something that you offer that's unique, if somebody else says something different, they'll end up believing them, even though it may or may not be true. They're going to view the value of your solution through their perception of you. And so, it starts with us. They buy you, and this is where we actually start. One of the first barriers we address is their perception of you. So, yeah, and what I love about the principles in the book, and they're not my principles. I don't own principles. I discovered them or I packaged them. But what I love about these principles that I sometimes apply and sometimes I don't, pointed out by my wife, is they're so simple. They're just so counterintuitive.
So you come up with this term, drop the rope. What do you mean by drop the rope?
That's just a great example of a simple concept. Very counterintuitive, but simple. It comes from this idea that anytime we seek to influence somebody or change their opinion, there's a tension involved, especially if we're in sales, right? Because we get money from our recommendation. So they're like, hey, I don't really know what you're doing, but I feel the tension, right? I walk into a retail store looking for a television. The sales rep walks up to me and I say, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know anything about televisions and I need their help to wade through the 100 options that I'm seeing. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you because this is not going to be, I'm rejecting a sales call, not a service. I don't want to talk to a salesperson. And so the guy goes, I'm not on commission. So if you need me, I'll be over there. And he starts to walk away. And I immediately grab him. I'm like, no, help me. So the tug of war exists when I'm talking to someone who's going to potentially try to sell me something. There's tension. And when the tension exists, people pull back. They want to feel the freedom to choose. So we teach this concept called drop the rope. It's where you communicate, hey, I'm not going to try to sell you something. Hey, I'm going to put all the options on the table, which may not include my solution. I'm here to figure out what's best for you. I'm going to ask permission. I'm going to try to get an invitation to sit at the table with you. And when I ask for an invitation, it means I'm going to knock on the door. I'm not going to barge in, and you get to open the door and you are in control, and I'm not going to try to force you to do anything. And the reality is control is just an illusion. We have no control. I have no control over my children. I have no control over my wife. I have no control over my customers. I have no control over my prospects. So by recognizing that and communicating that, it gives me the opportunity. I'm trading the illusion of control for the opportunity of sitting at the table. Like I said to a guy yesterday, I met with him. I'm like, I don't know if I can help you. And I said, I really don't, because what you're telling me is this, and this. Instead of trying to win his business, I'm trying to determine if we should work together. So that conversation went extremely well.
So what do you mean by reset the compass?
So reset the compass, just get back to kind of this counterintuitive idea. Reset the compass is when I joined your podcast, my compass is pointed to Tom. I default to self. So the compass works, right, by this the strongest magnetic field in the earth is the North Pole, right? So the compass knows where you are in relationship to the North Pole. So our magnetic field is to self. And so when I'm meeting with Tim, or I'm meeting with a customer, or I'm meeting with my wife, or I'm having breakfast with my son this morning, my compass naturally points to Tom. I am the hero of every story. Yeah. So I have to, before every meeting, make a decision to change my compass and set it on others. And I do that by first making that decision, and secondly, knowing that I'm going to be more successful when I put other people first, which is It's such a counterintuitive, and I'm going to say that word over and over again, idea, but it's true. I'm going to have a better marriage if I serve my wife, a better relationship with my kids if I serve my children, a better customers, more long-term relationships, better prospects, better business if I serve. Now that doesn't mean I serve everybody. And that's where that, we have to choose who we're going to serve. We can't serve everybody. But that idea that really, if customers believe that we called them because our goal was to help them solve their problem, they would answer the phone.
They would.
Oh gosh, a sales rep's calling me. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Someone's calling. They're going to help.
Yeah.
If they thought we were ambulance drivers versus ambulance chasers during COVID, it would be a breath of fresh air every time a sales rep called.
So what is the RAS, the reticular activating system in our
reticular activating system? So one of the first things we have to do to influence is we have to get an invitation. Until someone, whether it's audibly or verbally, I guess it's verbally written, until they consciously or subconsciously say, "What do you think I should do?" Until my daughter says, "Who do you think I should date?" Yep. Until a customer says, "What do you think I should do about XYZ?" What I say really doesn't matter. So an invitation always precedes influence. And so for me to get an invitation, I need to break through the noise. They have to understand who I am and notice my message, right? And there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system, which actually automates the influx of information, which is crazy. We get like 10,000 messages a day. Our brain sifts through all that and doesn't let us consciously know. We just ignore it. But then every once in a while, when something enters our field of vision, even though we may not consciously notice it, the RAS, the reticular activating system, points it out because it's the filter that sifts through information from our subconscious to our conscious. And it says, pay attention to that billboard or pay attention to that information. And the RAS works by two filters, I should say two criteria that determines what information gets through. Yep. Something you know you need or something you don't understand.
Right.
So if your brain says you need that, you'll focus on it. And so that's why the most mistake reps make when they're reaching out to people is they talk about themselves, their problem, and they need to focus on the customer's whiteboard. Yep. Because if you focus on their whiteboard, you're going to get their attention. The RAS is going to say, "Hey, that's important."
The whiteboard being everybody has a whiteboard on the wall, and and their big issue will be written on that whiteboard.
On the whiteboard, everybody has a white. I have a whiteboard. I'm looking at it right now, and on the left corner, there's 3 things I'm working on. If anybody says anything related to those 3 things, I will listen to that message. I will read that email, whether I want to or not. I can't help it. My brain says, focus on that. It's like if I show you a picture of you, Tim, if there's a group picture, I've seen people do this, right? If I show you a picture of you, you will look at it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
If
someone shows you a picture of a classroom at school and you're in that, the first thing that you look at is yourself. You
blow up your picture if it's on the phone and you look at yourself. If you want to break through the noise, you have to talk about them, lead with what's on their quote unquote whiteboard. So, is Ogilvy, who headed up one of the most successful advertisers, he says, if you sell fire alarms, start with the fire. So it's like, okay, well, that's concept's easy to understand, but we don't know what's on the customer's whiteboard.
Yep.
But it starts with knowing you need to, and that's where the work comes in. And we need to understand who we're serving and what's important to them. People in my role all struggle with about the same thing. If you want to get my attention, talk about that.
So take the trip. What do you mean by that?
Take the trip. First of all, it's an illustration. It's based on this illustration that I think really captures what happens when our goal is to influence. It really is a picture of influence. Think of the globe, right? And you're on the North Pole. And then you think about the person you want to influence is on the South Pole. You have 2 polarized points of view. You see the world one way, you see up as one way, and the person you're talking to sees it completely opposite. That's a picture of influence. You have 2 polarized points of view. Well, here's the truth. Until you validate the other person's point of view until you have the oh moment, right? Oh, Isaac, this is my grandson who just turned 16. Oh, Isaac, this is why you like rap music. Until I have that oh moment and I can feed it back to him, or if I'm talking to a customer and I say, oh, this is why you are moving in this direction. Oh, I get it now, because there's a reason you see the world the way you see it. They're not idiots. And then I feed it back to them and I say, exactly. They say, exactly. That's when I know I've taken the trip. I see their point of view. I've validated their point of view. And that opens the door for me to influence.
Yeah.
The other option is to convince, right? So I'm at the North Pole, they're at the South Pole. And so basically somebody's wrong.
Yep.
Right? They're wrong or I'm wrong. So we have two polarized points of view. So I'm going to start off by telling you you're wrong.
Yep.
That's not a good way to influence somebody. They're going to go, oh, you're going to tell me I'm wrong. Thank you. Okay, let me get my pad and pencil and write down why I'm wrong. But watch what people do. People do not do that. As soon as they hear the counter argument or the other polarized point of view, immediately they start to argue. And when the argument starts, influence ends.
Yeah. So setting the stage, which is the last one, 4 minutes.
Oh, setting the stage. Oh, for the I thought you were setting the stage for a question. Setting the stage for a presentation. I think when we get into, we talked a lot in this podcast about kind of what gets us to the point of being able to deliver. Because when we do influence, we do need to, after we take the trip, we do need to share, hey, an alternative point of view. One of the mistakes most people make is they don't set the stage for how that needs to happen. Right. So if the customer's finally to the point, or the person you want to influence is to the point of saying, okay, I'm ready for you you get what I'm thinking, you get what my challenges are, you understand me, there's receptivity. Now share with me your point of view. Whatever's required for you to share the truth, you need to fight for that. Because a lot of times when we're selling, people will put us in a situation to lose. Like the right people won't be in the room. They won't have you set up to win. They won't give you enough time. They won't allow you to do what you need to do to share what's important. And if they won't allow you to do that, you've earned the right to say, I'm not showing up and doing that. Like I had a company one time work with me, and they said, okay, the C-level wants to meet with you guys for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And they want you to, and I go, okay, that's great. We've met one time. I haven't done any discovery with your organization. I don't know much about you, but they're like, well, we like what you've told us. And we'd like you to meet with the CEO, the C-level people. There's 3 of them. And then we're going to make a decision. And I said, well, for me to do that, I need to meet with people and talk about what's important. And I need more than 30 minutes. And they said, well, we're not going to give it to you. I said, well, then I'm not coming. I can't serve you. I got to make it about them. I can't serve you unless you give me access to the information that helps me understand. You want me to tell you the surgery I'm going to do without examining your knee.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that. And it's not because I want money. It's because I can't help you.
Yeah.
And so guess what they did? And I found this to be true 100% of the time. And I've been selling our solution for 28 years. When I say, I'm not going to do that, and here's why it's in your best interest to allow me to do something different, they have always agreed with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not making it up. Right. So, and I think we need to lead, right? The whole thing about receptivity is building a foundation to be heard. Is we're creating fertile soil so we can plant the seed, right? If the soil is not fertile and we want to plant the seed, our message, it doesn't matter. So I got to get the fertile soil. But when the soil's fertile, I know how to plant. I know what seed to plant. I know how to plant it. And you need to let me do that. And so I've earned the right to do that. Now, again, I need to do that in a way that's honoring the other person with dropping the rope. Hey, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You don't need to work with us. If you don't want to work with me, here's what I'd recommend, but make sure you do this, this, and this. I don't have to demand it. I can just say, I'm just not willing to do that, but good luck. But I need to make sure that I've set myself up for success and set them up for success.
Yeah, I think that quite often it's seen when that's done in a sales environment, it's seen that like the salesperson is actually being difficult. But actually what you're doing is that you have the client's best results in mind, because you've got, to put forward the best solution, you've got to understand if they have the problem.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could be in a situation where you do sell them something they don't need, which is the worst thing. And this it's classic thing, isn't it? Well, the CEO is busy. They can only give 30 minutes. Like, okay, so this is strategically important to the business.
Yeah.
Surely they will, and most cases that they, in pretty much 99% of the cases I'm aware of, the people actually say, okay, yeah, you're right, you're the expert.
You really are the expert. I found the key to having that tough conversation is beginning the sentence with "because you." If you can begin the sentence with because you want to do this, because this is important to you, because you care about this, because ultimately this has such an impact on this, here's what I would recommend and why. Then I know I'm in a good position for them to go, okay, you're right. That's a good point.
Tom, thank you so much. There was a lot to get through, and you come through perfectly on timing.
Thank you, Tim, for having me again.
You're welcome. I've been really looking forward to this because I've really enjoyed the book. I said in my post on Saturday, which this is the best sales book I've read this year.
Thank you. I was really very honored by that and humbled.
And as I say, I read a lot of stuff, and it's like the same old. And you come at it from a different perspective, and you come up with a whole bunch of ideas, a lot of which salespeople are banging their heads against the wall right now, going, "How do I do this?" And using 1980 techniques just don't work anymore.
No, the fertile soil, going back to that analogy, is getting smaller and smaller, and so we can either keep working really hard to try to find that one little area of fertility, or we can say, look, we got acres and acres and acres of fields here, and if we know how to cultivate them, we open ourselves up to a whole nother world. We have I remember talking to a rep recently who sells 2 times more than the second place seller. He's the number 1 seller in his organization. He sells 2 times more than the second. I said, why is it that you, and he's been through our training multiple times. I said, why are you so successful? He goes, because I get receptivity. It's just not that difficult. And that's one thing I do love about the book, is if you adopt the approach, it makes what we do meaningful, and makes it so much more enjoyable. You're not begging for business. You're helping people solve problems.
You're helping people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is once I was in sales and I knew what it was about, it was what I realized, actually, this is about helping people. And I know there's a lot of people out there go, I'm just trying to help you. You're trying to sell me shit.
Yeah. Well, and reps don't know how to handle, like in the book, we talk about the 5 false objections. There's a lot of barriers to having that real conversation. And so customers will throw out false objections to get rid of you, and the reps will try to overcome it. You can't overcome a false objection. So they don't know quite how to navigate that. They don't know how to write the email. They don't know how to lead a discovery meeting. They get the concepts of taking the trip, but what's the roadmap look like? So hopefully we provided some real specific tools that make it very tangible, so it shows them how to do this in a way that's enjoyable. And drop the rope is the easiest thing to do that makes everybody feel better.
Yeah.
The rep feels better. The customer feels better. And it's not about dropping the rope and leaving. It's about dropping the rope and staying and having a more productive conversation.
Tom, remind people where they can get hold of you.
Tom Stanfill at LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me at ASLAN, which is aslantraining.com. And again, at the book website, if you're interested in learning more about the book, unreceptivebook.com. So you should easily get in touch with me in those three areas.
And it's available on Amazon worldwide as well.
Yeah, and it's published by HarperCollins, so it's available wherever books are sold, which always cracks me up when people go, "Where can I get it?" Wherever you buy books.
Where books
where
sold,
you go place to a place to buy books. I get it if they said, "What's the title?"
Yeah.
But like, where do I get it? Like, anywhere they sell.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I get it as well. So where can I buy it?
I'm sure you've gotten that with your books. It's like, where can I get it? You just, go places where they buy, wherever.
Like, Tom, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on today and talking about your book. Excellent. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, my friend. See you.
Thanks. Bye.